Hey you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. So pretty much in today's video I'm going to be discussing the drapery panel. About maybe 3 videos ago I gave you guys the install plus a quick tour of how everything was looking. So in today's video I wanted it to be a little bit more informational. I also have my handy dandy notebook, which is going to keep me on task with everything that I want to go over. This video is going to be a little long, it's going to be boring, but I feel like this is also going to be something that you can kind of revisit later when it's time for you to get your drapery. I actually spoke to my drapery specialist and she gave me some samples. That way I can go over every single, let me take that back. It's not every single because there's so many different options, but these are kind of like the ones that most people tend to kind of gravitate towards. She's gonna get some more samples made, but I feel like in the future, depending on how this video does, then I can touch base on it again. So starting off, so this right here is the sample. So if I was going to go into a client's home and they were interested in drapery panels, I would bring this in just so that way they would have an idea of how the top portion of the drapery would look. Before I start giving you the names of these things, I just want to say that there's plenty of names. Everyone calls it something different. I'm just going to go with the most simple and basic thing. That way, if you're interested, you would at least be able to give someone an idea of what you're looking for. So this is a three pinch top pleat, okay? It has a pinch at the very top where they stitch it down. So this is why, you know, you get the name. This one here has 2 pinch, but the pinch is more so at the base of it. So this is a 2 pinch pleat. This one here, it's not necessarily a pinch or a pleat. It has a setting of like 2, and this is called a butterfly. All right, so basically if you were to get panels made, every single piece would look like this all the way across. All right, and this is called the butterfly pleat. And then here you have 3 pinch pleat. Again, it's pinch at the bottom. So this can be considered a French pleat, or you can call it a 3-finger pinch pleat. So you guys have seen the front. The magic of all of this is, act like you don't see the hooks, but this is the back, right? I want to get it to where you can see it. This would be considered a box pleat. So the top of the panel would go just like this, okay? And it's considered a box pleat. Now, the workshop, as I mentioned with my drapery, they automatically place the hooks, and each one of the hooks are placed behind each one of the pleats that are done onto the drapery. That way when it's time for you to hang it, it automatically hangs, and it gives the drapery like a pre-pleat look, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like when you iron or crease your pant, it gives it that, because once the hooks are already there and you hook it up on the drapery, it gives this look here, okay? And it kind of, all right, I hope that makes sense. So this right here is the other sample of the top option. This one here is called a goblet with a button. This one here is called a goblet without the button. This one here is a 3 pinch, but unlike the very first option that I showed you, the pinch is in the middle. So if I was doing this for a client and I was to call, I would say mid pleat, but then you can also say 3 pinch pleat. But again, as you can see from this one here, you have the top pinch. So the reason why I'm not telling you like 2 pinch pleat, 3 pinch pleat, 1 pinch, which I don't really care for the one, personally, that's just my personal preference. You have an option to do a top pinch, a mid pinch, and then the bottom. So this is why, for me, if you're getting your drapery panels done and you're doing a 2 or a 3 pinch pleat, you want to make sure that you specify where you want the pinch to happen. And as long as you're letting them know, it shouldn't really be like a difficult thing to kind of figure out. Like I said, everyone says something totally different, because like I said, they do French, they do European, so there's different names depending on who you're dealing with. They'll have a different name for it. And then this one here basically is just the same, okay? So again, if you were to get panels made, it would look like this all the way across. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the side, okay? So basically, if your drapery panel was hung, okay, so this is the window and it's being hung like this, the side profile is what will be considered your return. And basically what that is, again, everyone is different. With Elaine Thomas Interiors, the return goes to the side. And then this hook is latched onto a hook on the wall, like an anchor on the wall. And what that does is it blocks out any sort of window. So it gives it a really nice clean finish on the side. Do you have to do that? No, but personally I think it looks so much better because if you were to hang it, it would be like this. So if you're walking to the side of your window, this is what it would look like, which you can see. But if you do that return, and it could be 4 or 5 or 6, you would basically specify. I'm saying what I'm saying to you because if you have shutters, the return would be different, which again, you would specify. Or if you're working with me, I would specify that you need, 4 or 5 inch return. So that way it would cover the side panel of your existing window treatment. All right. And again, it comes pre-hooked. So that way you guys can have it. This is just a fabric that was used to make the sample. But normally for me, like I really enjoy using like the linen-ish fabrics in order to get the windows done. Okay. Also, what I want to share with you guys is somewhat of the base. So most of the panels, unless you're doing like shears, and the shears, they're aligned with other shears just to make it look, thicker and nicer, better quality, high end. But most of the drapery panels that I have done for my clients, they come with the blackout, even the stationery. This helps with discoloration from the sun. This also helps to not allow sun to come in, because sometimes you may see the fabric and you select it, but then when you put it up, the color may change. So by adding on the blackout, you can do that. My panels in my home are stationary, but you can definitely do it to where it closed. So if you're in a bedroom and you're looking to have that privacy, you can definitely take advantage of that, which is really great. And then you have a really nice thick pleat. Now, depending on how you want this, sometimes you can put weights at the bottom. This guarantees that the panels stay still and don't move. Mine don't have the weights on them because, I went around and steamed everything like a crazy person. But you can definitely specify, all of these when you're getting your drapery done. Now that I'm done with this, what I really want to talk to you guys about is measurement of your drapery panel. So I discussed this when I was live and someone had said my panels weren't high enough. And I think the biggest thing is understanding why you should go all the way up and when you shouldn't go all the way up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera, that way you guys can see the window here in the living room. That way you get a better perspective. Keep in mind that we're going against the sun, so it may not be the best lighting, but I'm going to do my best to keep things, as good as possible. The windows along this wall right here, there's 4 and they're really close together. There's about maybe like a 5-inch gap of wall that's in between each one of the windows. So for this window down here, I opted to go all the way up, leaving about 2 inches away from the top of the crown molding. This gives the window a really, really nice look. It makes the walls look taller. It gives a grander look. It did that because there's actually like 4 windows going against the wall. So basically what I'm sharing with you is I feel as though the rule for going all the way up applies when you have possibly 2, 3 to 4 or a whole wall of windows. Then the going all the way up applies and it works really well. Now, if you've ever seen a single pane window sitting by itself, I would not recommend going all the way up with your window treatment. To me personally, there's way too much space in between your ceiling, the crown molding, and then the very top of your window. So when you're doing that, I would recommend going halfway, which is what I did upstairs in the loft. I'm gonna go upstairs so that way you guys can see that way what I'm saying is gonna make a little bit more sense. All right, so you guys, I am currently in the loft, and you can actually see, because I'm not done, this one here, I need to get the anchor to situate the side. But then as you can see, the side here is finished. It's also finished on each corner of the walls. So you can see how having that piece anchor on the corner just gives it that really nice customization. With this one here, it's a 2-pinch pleat, really nice. Again, very different, not very different, but different from downstairs where I did 3. I feel like the 2 is a bit more relaxed. It's not as formal, even though it still gives a really nice look up here. I also want you to take into consideration that the trim is right here and the bottom of the window is here. So when measuring for this window, I didn't go all the way up. I felt like there was gonna be way too much dead space right here. So I measured in between each one of these here to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've seen it where people have gone all the way up. But if you're going for the illusion of having a much bigger wall, bigger window, bigger space, it can also work the other way, where you make your window actually look smaller and then the panels overtake the window. This is why I say take into consideration how you are going to hang your drapery and what exactly are you trying to accomplish when hanging. Do you want the window to look smaller or do you want the window to look bigger? Also, as you guys can see, when it came to these panels, I opted to just have them lightly kiss the floor. And when I say lightly kiss, there's like a small tiny little hair of a space, which gives the panels room to kind of grow and expand out however it needs. I didn't create the puddle. Now, personally for me, it's not my thing. I do feel like when I see it, it's store-bought panels that people are trying to make it look custom. But if you're going to purchase store-bought panels, I would highly recommend getting some sort of alterations, whether you're doing it yourself or taking it somewhere and having them actually hem it down to size. These panels here is 101. And so, like I said, it goes all the way up and you can really see how the windows elongate against this wall. So going all the way up, again, I'm gonna say this, it just made sense. Instead of having it kind of top off, it just looks so nice. When you come into the house, it gives it such an amazing look. So the next thing that I wanna share with you is the side, which is the return. So I have a 4-inch return because I'm actually gonna be doing electric roller shades, so they're gonna be mounted inside. But if you're doing shutters, you can do in or outside mount. I've always done it outside, which is why I said you can do a much wider return. Do you see how that corner just finished off so nicely? It's not really allowing too much sunlight to kind of go in, and it just gives a really, really nice finish. It gives it a more custom look. This is why for the longest time I have been talking about getting custom panels made, because there is just something about it that is just, it speaks for itself, okay? That's what I said, it speaks for itself. So normally when someone is installing, they would just leave it like this. And do you see the difference of keeping it just like this than actually creating that return on there? It's just so pretty, y'all. Like, it's so, so pretty. So with these panels, I ended up going with the 3-pinch pleat, just because, and it's a top pinch also. I just thought overall, I wanted you to be able to come into the space and actually see the pleats, see that customization, see the grandness of it. So I wanted to do 3. You can also do 4 if you want. You have to specify that, but I'm really happy with the panels. So they don't close. And just in case if you were asking, like, why didn't you go all the way, or why didn't you do the middle, I didn't want to block the view of the back, and I wasn't interested in it really closing, just because I am going to have other items. I am going to have another window treatment option on there, but it's preference. You can do whatever you want to do. Something else that I want you to consider is when you're measuring for your window panels, you're not just looking at the actual wall and the window, you have to look at the amount of space that's left. So over by the bookcase, which really dictated how wide these panels were going to be, and these panels are a panel and a half. Let me get my measuring tape. I don't want to open up the panels too much, because It literally take me 2 hours to iron, to steam each one of these things. But when I originally measured, which I'm going to show you for the drapery, and I had to deal with the bookcase, it only gave me like 16, right? But even though it gave me a 16 width, the actual width of this, again, and this is just an estimate, it's not necessarily for real, because I don't want to open it all the way, because it took me hell and high water to get it together. So just to give you a rough David Ruffin, pulling it as much as possible, I ended up with 65. So it's 65 wide, okay, and then it's 101. So that just kind of gives you an idea when you're purchasing fabric how wide you're needing to go. And then of course you got to figure out the length also. But even though the panel looks really, well, I'm not gonna say it looks small, because it doesn't look small, but you can definitely see that there's still quite a bit of fabric that was used to make this. So there isn't going to be like a whole lot of movement and stuff. Like I said, I don't want to mess my stuff up. Matter of fact, I'll just move this. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the panel, so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. So if you're dealing with a bookcase, if you're in your bedroom and you don't have that much wall space, you at least have an idea of how the measurement is going to go. I do apologize, y'all. Like, it's just hard trying to deal with the sun. So basically, where my bookcase ends is where I measured. But I didn't measure just the bookcase. I got at least halfway to the window, because I was okay covering half of the window. From the corner of the bookcase to about the window was 18 inches. Now, I did record this and discuss this on YouTube. So you have 18 inches. So with the 18 inches that I have, there's a 65 inch wide, okay? This is 65. So basically you end up with 65 inch wide panels. Somebody mentioned to me something, and I'm like, you're gonna need quite a bit of fabric, because the more pinch that you have, the more fabric you're actually eating up. Now, I don't like the one pinch, so for me, I like the 2, the 3, and the 4, because it just creates like a very, very more dramatic look on here. But you gotta keep that in mind. Also, when it came to the dining, I had to take into consideration the window seat, and the window seat to the window was 16. So I believe those panels there, when I did if I do the whole length, it was like 50. So it's still a bit of fabric. So it's still a bit of fabric being used, just not as much as these right here. I'm gonna show you guys my office really quickly, so that way you guys can see the window. So right now we're in my office, very similar to the living room. You can see how the bookcase is kind of in the way. So with this one here, I'm still dealing with the 16 inch on the side. So I have to be mindful of that when it comes time to start, you know, measuring for the panels. But you can also see how close the windows are together. And this is an outside mount. So I'm still gonna have to do like a 4.5 inch return. That way it doesn't obstruct me being able to open and close the shutters when the drapery goes up on there. And also the ring has to be with the same specification of that 4.5 return. That way I can still maneuver opening and closing of the shutters. So you can see the windows. It would make a lot of sense to go all the way up with these panels to give it a really nice luxe look. I believe I already picked out my fabric. I'm still kind of, you know, sleeping on it a little bit, but I think I figured it out. All right, so I hope the video wasn't too long, and I really hope that I was able to cram in enough information as possible. I am going to write a blog where it can be a lot more detail. I can add in a lot more images because, like I said, drapery panels are already here. I'm getting some upstairs in the landing, and then I have in the loft, right? So you guys get to see different looks of windows and options for you to customize your window. I just want to touch on this, well, two things. The first one is, understand that with everyone that you watch here on Instagram or even on YouTube, I do feel like opinions are going to be biased to what their style is. You know what I'm saying? Which means my opinion is going to be biased to what I like. It's going to be up to you to do further research to figure out what you like to accomplish the goal of your home. So I'm going to highly recommend that support your creators, but at the same time, figure out what's going to be the best thing for you. Number 2, there are rules to design, but sometimes rules are meant to be broken, but sometimes you have to follow certain rules. So one of the things that I keep hearing constantly, even like when I'm live or when I'm talking to people, is you have to go all the way up. You have to go all the way up. You have to go all the way up. And no, measurements are there for a reason. Like they're there. They're not imaginary. You know, the measurements are there for a reason. If you're dealing with someone like Elaine Interiors and you're doing a consultation and she has you on video, she's gonna walk you through how to do the measurements. But if you take it upon yourself to go to a seamstress or to go somewhere, you may not get that same expertise with how much fabric you're actually going to be needing to get the drapery panels done, how tall you should go. They're going based off of the measurement that you're giving to them. So whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. They're still going to get their money at the end of the day. When you're trying to get panels made, again, personal opinion, if you have one window like I have upstairs in my loft, do not go all the way up and then now you're sitting with almost 4 feet of space in between. The only time I've ever seen this done and I'm like, this is good, is in a situation where you have like a 2-story window where you may have, you know, 3 or 4 feet of space in between the window, but then there's a secondary window, which then it makes sense because now you have something else on top to kind of play with the eyes a little bit. So the same way you can get the illusion to make something look bigger, it works the opposite way to make something look smaller. And you don't want to come into a room and it doesn't look proportionate. Things are looking kind of crazy, things are not in place, and this is why I say you have to find people that are expert in their area. So when it comes to the drapery, I'm dealing with someone with the drapery. When it comes to paint, for me, I do have the luxury of reaching out to someone in Sherwin-Williams to ask more questions like, hey, I'm gonna paint this, I'm gonna be doing this in this room, which is going to be the best finish for me to go with, which is gonna be the best paint solution for me. When it comes to the flooring, I'm dealing with people that do flooring. I hardly ever, for the last 6 years, I hardly ever go to someone who's like a general something where I do everything. No, not over here. I need someone who does this. It's their religion. They do it in their sleep. They do it so much. It's like I can do it with my eyes closed. So the takeaway in this situation is you want to do your due diligence to figure out your style, to figure out which one of these are going to be your option for your top. The next thing is you want to take your time to do your research to figure out your fabrics, okay? And then you want to further educate yourself on window treatments, flooring, panels, whatever it may be, so you can figure out what you like. Because at the end of the day, and I'm sure you guys see it, as creators, we have an option to change up our homes, to do different things, and you're going to still be stuck with your stuff. So you want to make sure that you take your time and just do a little bit of research. Google is free, y'all. Google is free. I do my best to come on here and share the information with you. That way it can kind of help you out. It's not a guide like you're supposed to do it like this. I'm just sharing and showing with you guys what other people have basically educated me on, and I'm able to educate my clients on. So that's pretty much that. If you feel like I didn't answer something for you, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I told you guys to ask me questions. No one really said it too much of anything. You were more interested in kind of seeing the panels and everything like that. So this is what I focus on in today's video. I did figure out some things that you may, you know, ask or whatever, but there's always a method to my madness. I don't just do things just because I do it, because I am paying for this stuff. It's not free. So, you know, well, maybe the electric shade, I ain't paying for that, but you know, I'm paying for my drapery, I'm paying for, you know, to get my flooring done, I'm paying for my rugs, like I'm paying for my stuff. So it's like I can't just, you know, like mess up, because if I mess up, like I have to pay for it, you know. But anyway, totally off topic. I hope you guys have a really, really great day. And again, if I missed something, feel free to leave it down below so that way I can answer it for you. All right, bye. Oh my gosh, you guys, I don't even know how I forgot. This is so crazy. If you are interested in window treatments, panels, drapery, I now have drapery available. I'm going to be leaving the link down below, that way you can make your purchase. There are different sizes. Today is Sunday. By tomorrow everything will be on the site, that way you guys can purchase and kind of figure out what you like. I kept it neutral, I kept it simple. It is a linen. I'll go ahead towards the end of this, get a close-up of my panels. Now this fabric was a little bit more, so I didn't do this one in particular, but the fabric is still a really great quality. And yeah, you guys can shop for some drapery panels. So I'm really excited about that. But anyway, I don't even know how I let that go over my head, but it's available, you guys. I'm really excited. Okay, so have a really good day. Bye.
"6:30 in the morning, you wake me up to have a conversation and inform me about how I make you feel inside.